reduction is a planned constructive approach to reduce expenses in a cost reduction. We are focusing on reducing expenses. It is a corrective function based on a continuous process of cost, function, and other analysis for increased efficiency in the application of components of production. In general, lowering the cost per unit of manufacturing can be accomplished in two ways. We can lower or reduce the manufacturing cost by lowering expenditures while maintaining output volume. We have to do the maximum production. So, huge volume will help us to lower the expenditure. And the second option is by increasing output by maintaining the same level of expenditure while production activity. So, same level of expenditure for maximum production or lowering expenditure for maintaining output volume. So, these are the two ways to reduce lowering the manufacturing cost per unit. So it is a corrective function based on a continuous process of cost function and other analysis for increased efficiency in the application of components of production. So every component of production should be addressed over here. Now we'll go for the definition of cost control. SEMA of England defined cost reduction is the achievement of real and permanent reduction. It's a real and permanent reduction in the unit cost of goods manufactured or service rendered without impairing their suitability for use intended. So here the achievement of real and permanent reduction in unit cost is defined. Real, which can be understood, which can be find out, yes, this is real, but what is that? Then the permanent, that reduction can take place in a permanent manner. So reduction in a real and permanent in the unit cost of goods manufactured or services rendered without impairing their suitability for the use of intended. Now the cost reduction. The cost reduction may be effected in two ways. By reducing the cost per unit and by increasing productivity. Cost reduction has to be effected within the organization. If it is due to external factors such as reduction in taxes, government subsidies, etc., it will not come under pursuing of cost reduction. So cost reduction does not contain the external factors. We don't have any control over them. So cost reduction will improve the profitability, or else the saving in cost may pass on the consumers by way of lowering selling price. We can give benefits to the customers by lowering the cost and reducing the selling price. So this will create more demand for the product, economies of large scale of production, more employment through industrialization, and all around improvement in the standard of living. So this is how the cost reduction effect. If the profit is improved by the cost reduction, it can be utilized for expansion of the concern, which will create a more employment. So ultimately, for running the best way of economy, we need to reduce the cost. Reduce cost helps us in a wide range. Cost reduction examples like water bill and energy bill. So the accounts usually have quite significant values are also essential. Therefore, lowering their values is considered one of the best business cost reduction strategies. So we can reduce a water bill or energy bill by minimizing or actual utilization of resources. Whenever there is no requirement of energy, we should stop it. Most of the organizations are following the rules. They are switching off their air conditions or some other huge machineries before the time of closing down time, because it takes a cooling time. Suppose if you are shutting off the air conditioner and that lasts for next 5 to 10 minutes, so we can save the 10 to 5 minutes energy. Because before going out of the office, we should switch off 5 or 10 minutes before the energy. So this is how we can reduce the cost and energy. This was a simple example. Now, what are the advantages of cost reduction? Which is very clear idea for cost reduction. What can be benefited as a cost reduction? It provides a foundation for the higher dividends to the shareholders. Cost reduction helps to get a dividend because higher bonuses to employees, greater profit retention for business expansion, which will result in more jobs and overall industrial prospects. This is how we can focus about the cost reduction. Cost reduction will free up funds for the labor welfare programs, improving the main management interaction. So the relationship between the top level management and the lower level management getting closer because of the cost reduction process. Then the consumers will be able to purchase things at lower cost if the costs are reduced. Of course, ultimate benefit is passing on to the customers. Whenever we are reducing the cost, ultimately our selling price will be lesser than that. So this will result in increased demand for product. Whenever we are having a selling price as lesser amount, the law of demand comes into the action and our product will be in a higher demand because of its lower cost. So cost saving from large scale production increase employment as a result of industrialization and the overall improvement in the level of living. The next advantage will be the cost reduction will aid in efficiency and addressing competition. Yes, to face a competition, we must have the efficient labor workforce. While reducing the cost, we are focusing about each and every segment. So it will help to get better competition. Higher profit will result in a higher tax revenue for the government. Ultimately, our contribution to the government or an economy or the society is in the form of taxation can be possible due to the cost reduction. Because higher profit charged at higher tax. So as a result of lower cost, export prices may fall, thus increasing overall export is possible. So when we are exporting the things to the other nations with the competitive pricing, we will earn the foreign currency, which help us to maintain the balance of payment in economics in our nation benefited. Then increased productivity leads to cost reduction. As a result, a developing country with limited resources such as India can develop more quickly if it makes the best use of those resources by the improved productivity. So we should focus on the productivity, maximum utilization of resources needs to be improved. And the cost reduction emphasizes a constant quest for improvement that will strengthen the firm's image in the long run. To maintain our firm's image, to make a brand value, we need to focus on the reduction of cost without compromising the quality. Always focus cost comparison with the quality. So we should not sacrifice our quality to reduce the cost. So these were the advantages of cost reduction. Now, limitations. How the cost reduction will limit us? It can limit us, like to save money, quality may steadily degrade. So degradation of the quality can be possible due to the saving of money. It might possible that we may not give good quality of material or the labor or some compromise other expenses, and this may make notice until it has reached alarming proportion. Sometimes when we are reducing cost, we don't know what will impact it in last longer. So quality could be lower to the point that is no longer acceptable in the market. So and the business could be lost in a competition. So we might be losing our control over the market. We reduce or lose our market share. So this can be possible because of cost reduction. Next, employees may not like the cost reduction plan at first. This is a human tendency. Always the new techniques are not being adopted. And the program may be jeopardized because the success of any cost reduction plan is contingent on the employees' willingness, collaborations, and active involvement. Unless and until they are participating in this program, we will not able to reach or achieve our target. So it is likely that the expense decrease isn't real or long term. It may not be placed on the valid reasons and may be impediment with the cost returning to their original levels once temporary factors such as lower material price that cause cost reduction fade away. Sometimes it is an unrealistic item. Sometimes due to the any market condition we are getting the material at lower cost, but that will not possible always. So these sort of information or this sort of situation may cause problem in future, while deciding in advance the plan activity will not able to understand the standard cost of material. There may be a contradiction between an individual's goals and the organizational goals. It is always possible. It's feasible that a department head will pursue action that saves his department money but raise the cost of organization as a whole. This can be possible. That every department wants to show off that they are reducing their costs, but ultimately they are engaging other resources and they are ultimately charging to the organization. So our aim may not be fulfilled. So these sort of limitations will be there in the cost reductions. So it is not permissible to follow this way or this sort of cost reduction. We'll have to focus, we have to the teamwork, we should satisfy our employees, they should be the participating in nature, they should not be dissatisfied, then quality should not be compromised, there should not be the contradiction between the individuals and organizational goals. So the one goal should be there to achieve the organizational targets. The processes of cost reduction. Now the next part, how to reduce the cost, how we go to the processes. These are few processes are listed over here. That is, cost reduction is imperative. Early in the process, deciding cost reduction, share your cost reduction strategy. First, we need to understand that create and communicate a cost reduction imperatives. We must create or communicate, establish and communicate a clear imperative. We'll add in a gaining buy-in at all levels. One strategy is to simply depict the unsuitable environment of rising cost and flat of declining revenues. So we should focus on that. Early in the process, obtain senior leadership alignment and support. Senior leadership alignment and support for the cost reduction process can be achieved by holding a cost reduction planning workshop. When planning the workshop, think about the goals, as well as the outcome and deliverable that you want to be achieved. Decide on a cost reduction strategy, how we are going to plan the strategy, action plan. Using the part of each of the strategy, an organizational optimal cost reduction strategy may often to be constructed. And a good cost reduction strategy should achieve reduction with the minimum impact on employee morale. While reducing the cost, employee morale should not be affected. Retain high potential and high performance individuals. Guarantee retention of organizational knowledge that may not be well documented. Sometimes it might be possible that employees will feel that by reducing costs, there will be the reduction of employees or workforce. So they may feel insecurity. So therefore, they are not participating in such activities. So reduce work when necessary to ensure saving and sustainability. Remove bad performers. So this should to be done. Write down and share your cost reduction strategy to get the people on board. Each and everyone should know how we are dealing with this strategy. To get the people on board with the changes, it's crucial to document and convey the initiatives, goals, plans, and timelines. Consider including the following aspects in your communication. Clearly highlights the organizational priority, where we are giving the priorities that should be communicated to each and everyone. Describe the cost reduction needs and desired outcome. What is going to be achieved by doing these things? That needs to be addressed to the people. Provide clear awareness of cost reduction needs and objective to employees, customers, and other stakeholders. Every stakeholders, they like employees or the customers or the supplier, should understand about the cost reduction policy. Describe have already been made. Provide participation with clarity during the development of comprehensive design and implementation plans and infrastructure decisions that have already been taken. Communicate an awareness of organizational values, beliefs, and philosophies. Define success and the principles to be followed during the cost cutting process. The four initiative process of cost reduction. Next process are methodology, procedure, and timeline. Methodology, procedure, and timeline. Top down and bottom up cost cutting. How we are going ahead, like methodology. We should identify and coordinate key corporate planning and cost reduction milestones. How we are going to do it. Establish the cost reduction process, pace, and cadence, priorities for implementation and key milestones. Describe leadership's expectations for implementation priorities. Identify critical implementation milestones. So, and the next one is top down and bottom up cost cutting. You may construct the most successful and sustainable plans by providing guidance and expectations while relying on your staff to deliver on the details by using both a top down and bottom up strategy. These are the process of cost reduction. Now, difference between the cost reduction and cost control. We need to understand what are the differences between them. So, first of all, basis of comparisons are meaning. Just understand the meaning of cost control. A technique used for maintaining the cost. As a result, the set standard is known as a cost control. In cost control, we are setting a standard or deciding a budget and considering the actual performance and comparing both of them to get a variance, to find out the difference between the plan activity and actual performance. So this is what the cost control is. What is a cost reduction? A technique used to economize the unit cost without lowering the quality of the product is known as a cost reduction. We are not supposed to reduce the quality. We should not compromise to the quality because of reduction in the cost. So this is what the cost reduction focuses. The nature. The cost control is a temporary activity because always we are following the new plans and with the new action. So there will be the temporary activity every time we need to do it. Whereas cost construction is a permanent activity. Whenever we find suitable things to do in a better manner while reducing the cost, we will follow that manner always. So that will be the part of permanent in nature. Emphasis on cost control is emphasizing on past and present cost. Past and present cost, because earlier we decided the cost, predetermined the cost, that is called plan activity, or we can say the budget, that is the past. And presently the actual activity is going on and we are comparing it. So this is what we are emphasizing on past and present only. Whereas cost reduction is focused or emphasized on present and future. Cost reduction is taking place for future activity. We are already looking after the actual cost. What is actual material, labor, or other costs are going on, and how we can reduce them to achieve the cost reduction. So this is how we can say saving in a total cost as well as cost per unit. Cost control helps to save in a total cost. total cost, whereas cost reduction helps you reduce the cost per unit. Cost reduction is taking place in each and every segment, like in material and labor and overhead. How we can reduce the material cost, how we can reduce the labor cost, in everywhere the per unit cost is matter. And this is how we are saving. Then the types of function. It's a preventive and it's a corrective. Cost control is a preventive technique and cost reduction is a corrective measure. We are doing it for future. We are taking a corrective action in cost reduction. Whereas in cost control, we are preventing, we are trying to be safe in future. And we are comparing the plan activity with the actual performance to reduce the deviations we are taking place. These are few questions like dash strengthen the firm's image in the long run. So ultimately cost reduction strengthen the firm's image. Why? Because reducing the cost will lead in the economic development and ultimately the image will be bigger in long run. Consumer will be able to purchase the things in cost are if costs are dash. In increased cost or constant cost, customers are not at all motivated. In reduced cost, yes, customer will be able to purchase things if costs are reduced. Therefore, the cost reduction matters a lot. This sort of question may ask, what do you mean by cost reduction? The meaning of cost reduction, which has already been studied, without compromising the cost and quality, we are reducing the cost. That cost can be reduced by all segments, either material, labor, overheads, and eliminate the process involving cost reduction. What sort of processes are there? Already explained in this chapter. We should learn these things to answer this question. This is what the question and answer session. And thank you very much. This is the end of unit 3 with the cost control and cost reduction.